Playful Studios. This is a studio located in McKinney, Texas. And I didn't know anything about this studio, but a friend of mine told me about it. And I did a little research, and this is pretty cool, this game studio. The gentleman who opened this place, he had created a game called Word with Friends. And they just launched a game last week. So I know we were actually going to do a tour last week, but they launched a game, so they were in crunch time, so they couldn't do the tour. So this is post launch, so it'll be exciting to see how they did and take a tour of the studio they have here in McKinney, Texas. Beautiful studio. All right, well, we're going to pause this and we'll come back when we get inside. All right, we're walking around. We went to the back of the building, and it looks like this whole building is for Playful. This is one huge studio right here in McKinney, Texas. Pretty amazing. We thought, well, maybe it was just the floor, but walking around, there's only 2 doors, and they both say Playful. So it looks like it's a 3-story building down here. It's a pretty big deal here. All right, well, we're going to get ready to go in and take a look inside. All right, we're on the side of the building now, and they have this show place over here, or showcase, like back in the old days when you could look through the windows, window shopping. And here is their new game that launched last Friday. It's called New Super Lucky Tale, and it looks really cool. I think they got it over here on the Switch. Pretty awesome looking. Got a lot of cool looking characters on here. So this is a beautiful studio.
Yeah, thank you.
And you said this has been here a year?
This has been here a year. We just had our 1-year anniversary just a week ago.
And so you're the only ones who have been in this building. You're not leasing any floors. This is totally your building.
This is just us. We built the building, and yeah, it is just us here for sure.
3 stories.
3 stories.
What's your favorite thing about this building?
The people in it. So this is the family room. So if your child is, needs to come in if they have a day off from school and they're old enough to kind of take care of themselves, and they get to hang out in here.
That's a nice area. And they got, I guess they can play the game?
Yeah, they do. We set up switches if they want to. So this is our Playful store. It's we're actually just now setting it up. We just rolled out our window it has a giant switch. Did you see the video?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I think they completed that 2 weeks ago. So that's running one of our levels, and this is our Playful store. And we'll be selling merchandise, so if you ever want to buy any of our merchandise, you can come in and Jeannie can help you purchase some merchandise.
I love Lucky. It's so cool.
Hey, Steve, can you get in there?
Besides the social landscape, is we're going to look at the audio side. And this back here, the not video.
Okay. Okay, we weren't able to record on the 2nd or 3rd floor. That's where the artists and developers were working. But we were able to go up, and it was really amazing. Incredible studio, very clean. It seemed homey, like laid back. And they had coffee machines on every floor. They had drinks and food, and it was amazing. These people all seemed like they were happy and loved their job, loved where they were working, and we were blown away by the whole thing. We thought it was just going to be like 1 or 2 floors, or a couple cubicles and some people in there grinding code, but this was like a huge studio, really amazing. And they also had a gym, and then they had on the 2 working floors, they had a lot of conference rooms. So the teams, if they had to get together and do something, they could just jump in one of the conference rooms and hash something out and then jump out. So when they set this up, it looked like they really put a lot of thought and planning behind it, and it looks like it's really paid off. So it's exciting times for them, and I'm happy for them, proud for them. All right, we're going to end the video talking about the CEO and founder, Paul Bettner. And this is an article I'm actually reading on Telegraph Herald that talks, I guess they did an interview with Paul. This was on 2017. So a great story here. I just really love reading this. I find it fascinating. So Paul as a teenager, he liked video games, but he didn't know that he could turn that into a career. But he began working with Ensemble Studios, which was later bought out by Microsoft Game Studios, where he helped create Halo Wars and Age of Empires. Now, both of those were huge hits, especially Halo Wars. So in 2008, he co-founded a company called New Toys. So Paul and his brother David created this company called New Toy, and they seen mobile gaming coming after seeing the promises of smartphones. So this is back in 2008, and so they were at the cusp, and they seen what was going on, and they jumped on it, and that was very smart thinking. And the story reminds me of The Matrix, the movie, one of my favorite movies, by the way, where two brothers developed. They produced that movie. They wrote the script. They did an incredible job, just like David and Paul did. So it says so. So this is what I find incredibly fascinating. Also, this is like a Cinderella story, super success story. In 2008, David and Paul co-founded New Toy, and then look down here. In 2010, that's 2 years later, they were bought out by a company in San Francisco for $180 million. I can barely say that. $180 million is an incredible amount of money. That is awesome. Good for them. Now, Paul grew up in Miami, but when they wrote this article, he's 39, so I think he's about 41 now. So Paul grew up in Miami, and then he came over here to McKinney, Texas, and he has a wife named Kathy. And they have 3 children, 8 years old, 6 years old, and 3 years old. And they have, I've heard of Kathy when we were working on the tour. They were talking about Kathy. So that's great. Now, I was reading down here a little bit more too, and the studio, they had Lucky's Tale, and this is the third in the series, and that launched, like I said, it just recently launched. So that is really great. But I was reading more down here, and it said in here, I found very interesting. There's a couple of interesting things. One, the Word with Friends game, which was a total knock out of the park. One of the things that happened that they said that made it really popular, he said, I guess it got mentioned on right here. It said at some point several things happened. First, John Mayer had tweeted about the game. He had about a 1.5 million Twitter followers, and then after that, they come to work. The alarms are going off. The servers are clogged, and then right after that, another thing happened. Alec Baldwin got kicked off a plane, and the news story read he gets kicked off a plane not just for being on the phone, but for playing Words with Friends. So a lot of stuff took off there. That's incredible story. And, the indie market, talking about the indie market back in the day when Limbo came out, Minecraft, Braid, they were at the forefront of the indie revolution, or I call it the California Gold Rush. And these games came out and just dominated the market. And now, years later, they say we're having a indie apocalypse. So they're saying that there's so many games that are coming out that the market is flooded with games. They were saying on Steam, like 80 to 150 games are coming out per day, which I find incredible. So there's just a lot of competition out there, and only a select few bubble to the top. But here's what I found fascinating reading about Paul. It says, I went out to California and saw the very first Oculus Rift headset that had been hand assembled. I got to put it on. It didn't even have a strap. You had to hold it in the front of your face. It had duct tape. It was awful, but looking into it and seeing that they had built this thing out of commodity hardware, off the shelf cell phone parts and other things, I peered in there. And I saw the future again. So he already saw the future with Word with Friends when he seen the mobile smartphones that are going to take off, and thought about this game. So if he's saying he sees the future again, then I believe him. I do feel like I've played with the Oculus Rift and the Vive when I was in the Microsoft store, and I think the same thing. I think it's like the future. I feel it's the future too. One of the things though that I think it will really be the future when it gets as easy to play with is like a wireless controller, like a PS4 controller or Xbox controller. You know, where you just pick it up. I think when they get those where it doesn't have the cables and where they're real lightweight and it's wireless and you just pop it on your head and it has a lot better resolution, I think that's when it's really going to take off. You know, like especially like you said with interactive entertainment and with like movies and such, I think it's going to take off at that point. But I do definitely think it is the future too. It is incredible technology. So I'm going to wrap this up, but just is a wonderful story, and it's awesome that it's taking place right here in my backyard, McKinney, Texas, and I'm proud of these guys. I wish Playful Corporation the best of luck with their game, Lucky's Tale, and best of luck to them. And I'd like to say that all their staff and everybody was incredibly nice. To let me go in and tour the place. The lady that was giving us the tour, she said that they like to help, you know, kids and stuff that come in so they can kind of see how things are done. So when they grow up, if they're wanting to get into this industry, it will help them too. So it's a really nice people over there. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll be more than glad to answer them for you. All right. Thank you for